Hi, it's Christina Michelle here, Master Certified Life Coach and Hypnotherapist. And I am back with another video. So if you've been watching, you know that I've been talking about healing after a relationship with someone who has narcissistic personality disorder or someone who has narcissistic traits. And I've already covered love bombing and the devaluing phase. And today we are going to talk about 8 things to understand about the discard phase. So I'll just go ahead and jump right in here. And let me just tell you, I think I said this in another video, that if my eye contact is not quite right, it's just because I'm still figuring out where I need to be looking for these videos. So just bear with me. Okay. So I want to start off by saying that the discard is inevitable. It is going to come just as sure as the sun will shine tomorrow, all right? Well, if you live here, I live in Juneau, Alaska. It rains most of the time, so the sun might not shine, but it will rise. It will come up, all right? And so will the discard in a relationship with a narcissist. It may come up several times if you allow the process to start over again and again, basically meaning that once a discard has happened, if you go chasing after a narcissist and, for whatever reason, they start engaging with you again, then it's going to start the process all over again. It's going to be the love bombing and then the devaluing and then the discarding. And that can happen several times. Or let's say that they discard you and then they start hoovering you back in and you're open to that, then you're going to start that process over. Either way, it's going to happen. So just know that there was nothing that you could have done. You couldn't have been, better, smarter, prettier, more supportive, had more money, like none of those things that we, go on a head trip about when a relationship ends, it wouldn't have mattered. And so don't even go down that path of beating yourself up, thinking that you could have done something to prevent it. All right. So I want to read you something from pairedlife.com because I think that it beautifully summarizes just what happens in this discard phase. So it says, narcissists get bored very easily. Initially, they are intoxicated by the chase and the conquest of a new partner, and they are prone to magical thinking and idealization, which means they often believe all of their problems can be solved by the right person. They have in quotations. It has nothing to do with you or how great you are, though. Their goals are all selfish. They aren't looking for a partnership or trying to build a life with someone or anything of that sort. They are looking for a person who will do things solely for them. This is, of course, not reasonable or possible or realistic in any way. No one can fix another person. Dating or marrying someone does not make a psychological disorder go away. It does not magically erase the past or turn a person into someone else. Of course, the narcissist is in total denial of any of these problems in the first place. They simply believe that the problem has always been the other person or people in their lives. Indeed, the line they often use to hook a new victim is baited with story after story of themselves as victims of horrible cruelty, indifference, and malice at the hands of previous significant others. So I talked about this in a previous video where you might notice how a narcissist has a sob story. It could be all of their exes did these terrible things to them, or they might go all the way back to childhood and tell you, from the age of 2 all the way up to today, every person who has done them wrong. And not to discount the traumatic events that may have really happened in their lives, but this is a lot of times the sympathy card is what they're playing. And especially if you're somebody who they sense is, very sensitive and very empathetic, then they will definitely play up that sympathy card to rope you in. Either way, they're always looking for somebody to feed their need. It's an insatiable need for attention and validation and admiration and adoration. And so, yeah, you'll see that whole sympathy play. Okay, so let's get into what you need to understand about the discard phase. Number one is it's inevitable. And we already talked about that, but I can't drive that point home any more. It's so important to understand that it was going to happen, because a lot of times, like, we just we think back on, like, if I had have done this different, or maybe if I had handled that different, or if I had said that when we argued, this wouldn't have happened, or whatever. But that's such a head trip. So save yourself the time and the energy and just know it was coming. Number two, they don't need people that they can attach to and form strong emotional bonds with. They need constant admiration, praise, and compliance. Compliance is really important, because the compliance part speaks to when they start acting a fool. They really want you to comply with the crap that they're putting out there. And once you start, pushing back or calling them on the crap, then, that's like repellent to them. They can't stand that. But we'll talk about that later in another point. But the most important thing to understand at this point is that, like, you and I, we want the type of relationship where you can grow with somebody, you can build, where there's empathy and compassion and understanding and support. And, maybe you have some long-term goals for, starting a family or a business, doing something together that changes the world, that kind of thing. The narcissist is not looking for that. They might tell you that they're looking for that to appease you during the love bombing phase, but in reality, that's not what they're about. And so, again, understand that you didn't have a deficit. There was nothing wrong with you. It's just that a healthy individual couldn't be with a narcissist long term, because they're never going to fill that void, and they're not going to be able to play the role of the fake character that the narcissist has in their head. It's unrealistic. And that brings me to number three. Because their attention spans are short, the cycles of the relationship and you have become boring to them. It's impossible to keep them interested and engaged forever, so don't even try. I know that that's a hard concept to wrap your brain around, because you're thinking, like, why wouldn't they want to continue in something that's so great, especially if you've already built a lot of things together or done a lot of things together. It's confusing, but just know that this is who they are and how they are. And you can't try to relate to them like a normal person, because they're not a normal person. So that's why these videos and other people that you watch that are educating, it's very, very, very important, because you need to understand knowledge is power. And so the better you understand them, the further along you will go in your healing process. Sorry, I'm kind of on a lean right now, because I'm trying to avoid the sunlight being in my eyes. All right, so number 4, they see you as weak or pathetic because they've gotten to know you as a real person, and you no longer live up to their unrealistic expectations of you. So in the narcissist's mind, they had this idea, this grand idea of who you were when they first started pursuing you, and it wasn't realistic. So part of it is feeding their ego, right? Like, if they can build you up and make you this person that they can put on a pedestal, right? And if you're that and they can actually get you, then that makes them feel good about themselves. The sad part is that once they get into the relationship with you and you guys kind of fall into a routine, that in most relationships, that's something comfortable and desired. But for them, that's when they start seeing that you are a human and that you have flaws, that you have, your own thoughts, you have a brain, that you may not go along or agree with everything that they say or do. And once reality kicks in, then they become disenchanted, and they don't like that. They can't deal with that. They're out of there. So understand that this is part of why the discard may have come about in the first place. Number 5, maybe you're on to them. And if you are, kudos to you. Yes, because that's another thing that will repel a narcissist in a heartbeat. Remember, they need that constant admiration, adoration, and validation. And when they get with somebody, and after a while, you're starting to see some inconsistencies, like maybe their stories aren't lining up right. You've caught them in a couple lies. Maybe you've questioned them about some things that happened in their past. Like it doesn't seem to really like line up, or it seems like they may have made like really poor decisions a lot, and you start asking them about those choices. Whatever tips them off and lets them know that you no longer see them on a pedestal, or like as high and mighty and worthy and amazing as they try to make themselves out to be, then they're gonna be gone pretty quick, because their supply is running out. Basically, it's running low. They're like, oh, she's on to me, I got to get out of here. All right. Number 6, understand that they have already found someone else who doesn't know who and how they are. By the time they discard you, you could think of it like an employer, right? Let's say that you have there's a company and they have a vital position that you feel, right? Like a critical position. The company can't run without you kind of position. And let's say that it's not you. We'll just say just in general, a person. Let's say that the company decides that this person is no longer meeting their needs. They're not meeting the expectations that they had, and they start looking for somebody else. Well, that's what a company is going to do when it's that important of a position. They are not going to fire you and treat you bad and talk bad about you and refuse to pay you unemployment and whatever else they can do to make life bad for you. First, they're not going to do that. They are going to go and find a potential replacement. They're going to start doing some recruiting, some headhunting, asking around, whatever, getting some applications in, doing some interviews. And then when they find a candidate who they think is going to fit the role, then what do? They do another interview. They start following up, asking more questions, talking about salary requirements. What would it take for you to come over here? How can we make you happy? And if they can meet the requirements of that person, then they're going to hire them. That's when they'll fire the other person and they're going to bring in the new one immediately. So that's how the narcissist thinks. Like, your role in their life was critical. It was vital. If you were the main person and the main supply in their life, they relied on you. Like what they were getting from you was kind of like air, like it's like the blood running through their veins kind of thing. And they are not going to get rid of you before having already lined up a replacement. So just know that, like, if you're discarded by the narcissist, don't think that the narcissist is at home, drinking and thinking about you and wishing that they had done something different and, contemplating coming back to you and whatever. That is not the case. They've already moved on. They may have already even moved in with somebody. Like, don't underestimate the depth of shadiness that these individuals can operate in or sink to. So yeah, just know that you were not the only one. By the time you got to a discard, like they already had somebody else lined up, if not more than one. Okay, number 7, and I only have 8, so this is going to be kind of short. It might be the beginning of a triangulation, which means that they might like try to triangulate with you, like making this triangle, right? Like them being like here at the top, and then let's say you over here in this corner and the other person over here in this corner. Like they'll be trying to run back and forth between the two of you, or most likely pit you two against each other, right? And they're over here at the top kind of being like the puppet master, you know, running circles around you guys, or having you running circles around each other. So this is super self-serving, as is anything that the narcissist does. If you start engaging with them again and they start a triangulation move, it could look like them telling you, oh, well, you know, Susie at work is interested in me, or, you know, this girl at the gym keeps hitting on me, or, you know, or my ex is, you know, wants me back. She keeps calling, like whatever. It can be anybody, but they will start bringing up people and putting them in your face to make you jealous. Or they might even spend time with these people and tell you, you know, oh, it's just, you know, we're just friends, or you need to stop being so jealous, or whatever. But the very thing that they're doing is trying to make you jealous. And that goes back to the gaslighting that we talked about in one of the first videos. And so that continues if you engage with them again, even after a discard. Beware of the triangulation. It's a dirty tactic. It makes you feel really bad about yourself, because what happens is you're already going through enough mental torture and emotional trauma dealing with the narcissist in the first place, and then dealing with being discarded. A lot of times it's just an abrupt discard. And so you're trying to work through that. And then if you let them come back around and they start triangulating you, then now you have another level of crap to deal with, because not only are you, you know, reaching to get something back with them, you're now also competing with somebody that you don't even know. And so then that starts making you feel like, well, you know, what does she look like? Is she prettier than me? Is she smarter than me? You know, does she put it down in bed better than me? Does she cook better than me? Like, are her heels higher than mine? You know, you start doing that comparison thing, and it's torture. Like it's torture. Like it's just, it's not advisable. So beware of the triangulation. And if you see signs of it, just know what it is. Just know that it is designed to be crazy making, and don't allow it to have that effect on you. And number 8, this is my last point. Understand that it's not about you. And I'm leaning a little closer so you can hear me clearly. It is not about you. It never was about you. So the thing that the way that I see it is that even though it feels very personal, we have to understand that it's not personal, that this is what this person does and has done for years, and is probably mastered and got really good at doing, and is going to keep doing. And so if you were to look at their whole get down, like all of their relationships, you would see a pattern, and you'd understand like, oh, it wasn't just me. And that was something that was difficult for me to understand until I actually had a couple conversations with one of my narcissistic exes, after, you know, I started to understand and knew who and how he was, and I was healing. He told me about a relationship that he was in, or somebody he was dating, and how he had an argument with her, and like some of the names he called her and the ways that he was treating her. And I'm like my mouth fell open. Like I couldn't believe, like we didn't go to that level, you know, of emotional abuse. But the person that he was with, like he was putting her through the ringer. And that's when it clicked, and I started to get it. Like I was like, oh my God, it was never me. It was never about me. Like this girl was my opposite in every way, you know, like I'm kind of light skinned black. She was, you know, chocolate, darker skinned black, beautiful woman. Like I'm full figured. She was like, you know, real slender. I don't have kids. She had a couple kids. Like we were different in our spiritual beliefs, different, and, you know, just a lot of different things. So we were complete opposites, and he treated her the exact same way and even worse. And so just know It's never you. It was me. It was her. It was all the women before us and all the women that have been, after us. And the way that I see it is like, it's kind of like if you're watching a movie, right? Let's say you're watching a movie and you have gotten to know the characters of the movie. And let's say one of the main characters has a lot of experiences with women during this movie. And throughout the movie, you see how he treats all the women the exact same. He love bombs, devalues, and discards. Goes through the same cycle with all of them. And then halfway through the movie, he meets this new woman. And you're watching this woman fall in love with him. You're watching her think like, man, like, this is amazing. I'm the only one he's ever felt this way about. I'm the only one that he's ever, loved this hard and whatever. And then they get to the inevitable discard. And of course, you saw it coming. You knew what was about to happen, but she didn't know. And she's thinking, I'm the only one that he's ever done this to. I'm the only one, like I can't understand like how this happened. And she's taking it personal. And you're looking at her like, oh, boo, like it's not personal. like I just watched his whole history. Okay. Like I could have told you what was about to happen. But as a viewer, you have the broader perspective. You have the benefit of being able to see his whole history. And the woman who's in the movie, in that situation, she's not privy to all that information. And so she's taking it personal and she's taking it really hard. And we're like the character in the movie, like the woman who thinks, that we're the only ones. And we take not only the love bombing personally, but we take the discarding personally too. And it's just about understanding and if you can back up so that you can see the bigger picture, you have a broader perspective and know that this is how this person acts with everybody. And again, I can't drive it home enough. Like there's nothing that you could have done to change it. It was coming regardless. But there are a lot of things that you can do to change your future and to keep yourself from engaging in relationships with this type of individual again. And so my future videos are going to start being about the healing, like that process and practical things that you can do on a conscious and subconscious level to help you heal. So I'm going to stop right there. And if you are interested in one-on-one coaching with me and or hypnotherapy with me, then you can go to my website, empressmentality.com, and you can schedule a consultation there. The consultations do cost, but they come with a downloadable MP3 self-hypnosis recording that I have made masterfully and beautifully for you. And you can download that recording and start listening to it as soon as our consultation is over. And if you do decide to move forward and work with me, then the cost of the consultation is applied to your coaching sessions. So until we meet again, I just pray that you stay educated, stay hydrated. I know that sounds a little funny. I'm all about the hydration. I need to take a sip right now because I am thirsty. This is water. Hydration, it's all about self-care. So, okay, I'm gonna stop right here, but have a wonderful rest of your day or evening, and we'll talk again soon.